That was the first time I learned, like, we are the grown-ups now. We're not in school anymore. We're not, like, asking for opportunities. Like, if you really love a play, you think it should be done, and you want to do it, you are allowed to raise the money, buy the rights, find a theater. You're allowed to do that.
Hello, so today I'm thrilled to be kicking off my creative conversation series with my good buddy Sarah Hogwood, who is an incredible writer, actor, comedian, producer, millions of other things. She's a superstar, and I think she's the exact right person to kick off this series. I'm going to read you a quick bio, and then we'll get into the conversation. So Sarah Hogwood is a graduate of New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. She's a published writer and a comedian with experience workshopping new musicals and plays, primarily in conversation with the Dramatists Guild and the Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program at NYU Tisch. She has performed all around the world in originated roles. Her one-woman show will premiere at Edinburgh Fringe Festival on August 2nd, 2024. So excited to share this conversation with you. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Zena. I'm so excited to be with you.
How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
How are you?
Pretty good. I'm kind of tired this week. I was out of town last weekend, and now I'm like slowly emerging from vacation.
Vacation.
Like catching up on things.
Cool.
Not even really
I was going to say,
vacation.
were you on a work trip in DC?
Yeah, like not even vacation. I went to DC. This is actually very clownish, but maybe it's worth including for the community. I went to DC to do a callback for a show that was in Maryland, and it turned out that it was not close to DC at all.
Okay.
Like an hour driving outside of DC, so I ended up like renting a car to get there, which was a whole situation.
That is commitment to the craft. I've once flew from a tour stop to DC to go to a callback, and then flew to like where the tour was later. I didn't end up getting it, okay, but like,
right,
so committed to the work.
Exactly. It's like these are the stories. These are the stories.
This is the life that we chose. Sometimes you gotta travel. Fine.
That's life, man. So I would love to hear kind of in your own words, as we're talking about like being multi-hyphenates, what would you consider your titles or your collection of disciplines to be?
Cool. So I am an actor, singer, dancer, playwright, spotlight operator,
hell yes,
assistant director, assistant stage manager, COVID compliance officer, as that is still relevant sometimes.
It really is, yeah.
What else? Teacher, caregiver. Let's go with that for now.
Yeah.
Run the gamut a little bit.
Part of what I want to impress on my currently 40 subscribers.
Woo! That's pretty good.
Is that being just an actor doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
And I would maybe say anymore. Maybe there was a time when being just an actor was a thing, but I think especially for young people who are like starting out, we really have to get comfortable with the idea that there has to be something else going on.
Right.
There like just has to be.
Right. Yeah, it gives you more control for sure of your destiny here. Mm-hmm. You're not just waiting with your hands open for someone to give you an opportunity, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my question for you is, have you always sort of been spinning a lot of plates, or did you start in one area and sort of begin to add things on? Like, what was that path for you?
Right. Well, first of all, I think you can start being a multi-hyphenate anytime. Like today is
Amazing.
The day, even if you are only super trained in one thing. Mm-hmm. That being said, I started in the ballet world, which is crazy to think about now as a very young person. And that pushed me towards musical theater and the other two disciplines. But when I went to high school, shout out William G. Inlow Magnet Public High School in Raleigh, North Carolina, Woo. I went for dance and acting. And I found singing there, but I also found writing. So one of my short plays was performed by some actors there, and then some comedy sketches, and I got to stage manage an event. And so that's when I started doing that. And I continued to do that at NYU, is where I learned to be a spotlight operator, because in the Tisch drama program, you're not allowed to actually act in a show your freshman year. So you must learn a skill. I was randomly assigned spotlight operator, and I loved it. And I ended up, like, I've done that professionally, and that was really fun. So
I feel like when you're in school, you're like, why are they making me do this? I
Yeah.
hate everything about it. And then in real life, sometimes those are the most rewarding aspects of your life, and also probably more lucrative than acting.
Absolutely more lucrative than acting.
Certainly.
Yes. Yes. One time during sort of the COVID-ish times, like as we were emerging, I originally booked the contract as assistant stage manager / COVID compliance personnel. And then one of the actors ended up booking something else, and I just got her role because I'd seen it so many times, and it was kind of a quick thing. So it can also work in that direction. But like if I had just booked the show as an actor, which is my, first choice as I was a young person, you know what I mean? Going into whatever, I would have made so much less money than my contract as the assistant stage manager. So
honestly, yeah. Sometimes I look at the equity contracts and I'm like, okay, stage managers, get it.
Get it. Yeah.
Maybe sometimes for young people, there's a sense of, oh, if I do this technical discipline, will people pigeonhole me? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think that's a fallacy. I know that has gone around, but I think at this point, maybe it works out for some people to like, I'm only an actor, and that's fantastic. Right. But that it just doesn't seem possible to me, or rewarding. Like, I forgot to mention producer, which is another hat that I have worn. I don't love it. Yes. I don't love some aspects of that job, but it's nice to have control over the stories that you get to tell, the things that you want to work on. And as I get older, I guess we get pigeonholed more in things that we can be hired in as an actor, I feel like, there's a certain woman that I know I can book on a certain kind of ship or a certain kind of children's tour. And I love doing those things. But as I get older, I'm like, making my own opportunities just seems more rewarding. Totally. So I definitely disagree with the pigeonhole thing. I think that's a fallacy. Having other skills is fantastic.
Right. Yeah. I think I agree with that too. It's like, actually, you are more versatile than ever.
Right.
Something I find too, just as I'm like, kind of free associating, is networking can feel really spooky, right?
Totally. Spooky word.
What am I doing? What am I asking this person for?
Right.
But if you have developed some of these skills, I think you're able to come at conversations with anyone with an idea of, hey, here's what I have to offer. I actually have a lot to offer.
Right.
And not like, please, I need this from you.
Right. And what is networking but expanding your community? And if we don't want to expand community, then like, what are we doing here in theater?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm always so excited to learn that somebody I met doing one thing is actually also amazing at another thing.
Right.
So I say, like, go out, develop those skills, discover new things.
Excellence is always welcome.
Keeping on the topic of your creative life for a minute, is there any project that you're especially proud of, maybe because it like brings together a lot of the different areas of your practice?
I think this is the moment to bring in, I had two things that I was really proud of Indecent, which that was the first time I learned, like, we are the grown-ups now. We're not in school anymore. We're not like asking for opportunities. Like, if you really love a play, you think it should be done, and you want to do it, you are allowed to raise the money, buy the rights, find a theater that's willing to put you, you pay for it, you raise the money, and like, you're allowed to do that. You are allowed to buy the rights to a play. So that I co-produced that show in Putney, Vermont. It's like, you can build your own summer stock. Like, you're allowed to do that. And it was so successful. The community was so welcoming. It was fantastic. And I acted in it as well. And then my other project that is ongoing is a play called The Leading Lady Club, which I
love the Leading Lady
Club.
Amazing.
Which you did a wonderful early reading of. Fantastic.
It's so smart and it's so funny.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it here in New York.
Woo! Yes. So we did that last July at 59 East 59th, August at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which was my first time to ever go to Europe. So it was such an amazing opportunity for me. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
But now we're back for the New York Fringe, and it'll be called The Leading Lady Club, a feminist but still likable sketch show. So we'll be doing this 40-minute Fringe version, and it's a lot of fun. And I act in it, but I'm also the playwright. So like last night we had rehearsal, and this other actor was doing this amazing job. She was doing a new read of a monologue that I've now heard several times and wrote. And I just had to step out of the scene and be like, that was a great read. Like, to the director, like, we're locking this choice in. Okay, crap. Like, now I'm back on stage. Yeah, so that was such a moment of wearing both hats. And I really love that piece. So
how do you feel about wearing both hats in the room? This is something that as I'm getting closer to actually going into production on my thing, in my mind, I'm kind of hoping that I can just be actor on set, but I don't know if that's actually realistic.
Right.
So yeah, how do you feel that balance?
And hey, congrats on that. That's really exciting. So you'll notice one of the hats that I do not wear is director. I have been an assistant director professionally, but never the director. That is not my gift. That is not my training. And so Jenny Hughes is the director of the Leading Lady Club.
We love Jenny.
Fantastic director, choreographer. You should. She's wonderful. Artistic director of Forge a Theater Company. She's fantastic. And like, I think right now we don't have our producers in the room because they are doing something on the West End, which is fantastic. She's the artistic leader in the room. So ideally when Jenny is doing things, I am quiet and I am acting. I'm there as actor one. Not playwright. That being said, it is hard. But when it comes to like director choices, like it is up to Jenny. She has a specific vision, some specific movements, and I happen to love it, but I take myself out, like whether I love it or hate it doesn't matter. I am not the director of this show. She's in charge of the movements and those choices and things like that, as if I was not there. If it's a words thing, then I come in. And we all collaborated in terms of the casting of the piece and things like that. So you gotta just see where your lane is,
Right. I know. Well, I think it'll be really, really, really interesting to see how it all feels. But
right.
I'm excited.
I can't wait to hear how that goes for you.
I'm so scared. I am very afraid.
You got this.
What are some of the challenges you've experienced trying to spin a lot of plates? And are there any, I don't know, maybe this is two questions, but are there any things that you do to protect your mental health, protect your physical health as you are, or also even stay organized as you're working in so many disciplines?
Yeah. Well, here's the main challenge that is universal no matter what you do or who you are, unless I guess you're like 1% of the world. Finances. Like you have to find a way, especially as creatives, as artists, like we are always hustling. We are always having survival jobs, balancing that. I used to define success as like the times when I was just on a contract and I was paying all my bills from acting. And like I'm really proud. Like from April to May, I will be doing that in another new musical. And now that I'm old, I'll probably try like at night to still do some tutoring or childcare here and there. And of course I'm like, have this other new piece that I'm writing, stay tuned. We're going to Edinburgh again.
Oh my God.
Like there's a lot to do, but I used to define the times when I didn't have to have a survival job and was just acting on contract, a union contract and making enough money to live as success. But you can't, I just really think it's not a good idea to base success off of this capitalist model. Right. So unfortunately, to do the pieces that you love and the things that you want to do and eat and pay rent, you just have to get comfortable with working a lot of jobs. So second part of your question, how do I manage that? There are some things that we can't control, right? Like when you're on tour or you're on a contract or even with survival jobs, hours are all over the place. Days off maybe don't exist. In some seasons of life. I do this thing, which is not for everyone. First of all, I only have a paper calendar. Like I walk around with my paper agenda, to-do lists by hand. So old-timey and crazy. I've always been like this. Two is like you can't control your timing and like the weekends and your time off. But mindset-wise, I keep myself on a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 schedule. Like, yes, maybe we have 2 shows on Saturday, whatever. But those are the days that like I could just go to my survival job if it's that season of life, or just do the show, or just do the 10 to 6 rehearsal and make plans with friends and like do the silly things that I want to do. Whereas like if it's Monday through Friday, it doesn't matter the timing of the rehearsal or the survival job or the show. I try to keep myself with these things that like nobody is forcing me to do, such as writing this next show or running my business as an actor and looking for auditions. Like if it's Monday through Friday, business hours, I really try to keep myself like, this is the business of Sarah Hogwood is an artist time.
So disciplined. Wow.
I try because I mean, you either run towards like workaholic or you run towards lazy. I run towards lazy. So I have to keep myself honest of like, these are business hours. Otherwise I would just run around New York City and do fun things all day. And especially like with writing for the playwrights, like nobody's forcing you to do it. And like
so hard.
Those doors open and you have to already have the show. Like anytime someone has produced something of mine, it's been because I started writing it, you know, a long time ago when it was just me alone. What am I doing? No one cares about this story. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And same for actors with auditioning, I think. Like the big audition for your dream role is going to come up and hopefully you already know the role because you just made yourself learn it or like worked on your book or whatever, you know? There's a lot of self-discipline that we have to have. And if you run towards workaholic, you have to tell yourself when the store is closed. Like, when are your off hours that you're allowing yourself to just enjoy and rest, you know?
I should try that. I'm a internet calendar person.
Okay, love it.
Maybe in April, I'll see what time blocking does for me.
Ooh.
That's like a system I want to try out.
That's a good system.
Yeah, maybe something I'll go into a little bit more in YouTube land is like organization systems for creatives. Because I feel like we don't really get to talk about it. Like nobody really explains what this life is and how much of it is on you to find the discipline, find the system that works for you.
Yeah. Like I said before, we're the grown-ups. Like one day you wake up and you're the grown-up. You're in charge. You're the woman running the ranch. Like,
oh my God.
When did that happen?
Yeah, truly don't know. But yeah, maybe some of this just getting really, really conscientious about like, hey, this is the time that we're going to work on this. And maybe it's writing and maybe you get like 3 words down, but like this is the time we're going to spend on it.
Right.
Is something that I want to try. Do you have any secrets on like how to make writing suck less? This is a question for me specifically.
Ooh, secrets for making writing suck less. Man, right now I have been having stress dreams. Like I am woken up at night by this piece that's due. It's called The Things I Did While Waiting for You to Fall Back in Love with Me.
Ooh.
And it's Wait, old.
Isn't that an expansion of one of the leading lady monologues?
Well, when I was writing the Leading Lady Club, I actually wrote this. I started writing this piece first. Okay. And then Leading Lady came along and I like Frankenstein and stole a bunch of material from my original piece and put it in Leading Lady Club because I was like, I'm just going to leave it all on the field. Like, this is my last show, you know? Like, this is the last time I'll ever write anything. And now here we are. So I have a lot of work to do on this old show, bringing it back. But I think the time blocking is actually a great idea because there's so much to work on and so much to do. You know, giving yourself a time where these are my hours to do this is really helpful. Also, what I have on my desk right now are like the 3 shows that I'm working on, the one that I'm acting in, this contract, Leading Lady Club, and The Things I Did While Waiting for You to Fall Back in Love with Me. I literally have them blocked in to-do list of like, for this show,
here's the to-do list for this.
I need to do this, this, and this. And so, because you can't do everything in a day. And sometimes I think we expect that of ourselves. Another like writing sucks less tip I have, this is from, I think Jen Waldman says this.
Oh, okay.
It's called like a bad pancake, which is just accepting like the first pancake that you make is going to be bad, you know, and just like, okay, this is going to be bad. Like, this is my first time writing it.
Right.
This is my first, draft here. I'm just going to put it out there and not let the fear of, but this one isn't perfect, keep me from doing a first draft, you know?
Totally. My default state is like, let me sit here and sweat until I get the sentence exactly right for the first draft.
Right.
And that's like not a useful way of doing it. I actually just saw on Twitter, I think it's Terry Pratchett, a quote from Terry Pratchett that said like, the first draft is you telling the story to yourself. And I thought that was really like beautiful and kind of freeing.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
So I saw the tweet. I still haven't really written anything, but when the time comes, that is the mindset that I'm going to try to adopt.
I like that.
Although editing is also really hard.
Oh.
So.
Why did we choose this?
I don't know. But also we just kind of have to, don't we?
We do just kind of have to. That's how I felt with leading late. I mean, that those stories sort of outrun, like if you, I don't even know how to explain this. I mean, how I got to this other piece that I'm writing is like something happened and I just had to, and then I tried to not accept the grief that I was going through, and I started literally running every day until I broke my hip and couldn't walk for 6 months. Like I actually believe that the story caught up with me, and then all I could do was like sit at my desk and write. Like I could not walk.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It feels like and now it doesn't feel so necessary, which is why it's harder now, because it's such an old story and I'm over it. But during that year of grieving, I talked to so many people who were going through a similar thing. And now it's more about them and their story.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
Thanks.
I am very intrigued. I truly adore your writing.
Oh,
so
thank
this is
you.
very exciting to me.
Thank you.
I also had one crumb of a thought there, also from I think it's from some Twitter thing. Writing about personal experiences, the idea of writing from the wound versus writing from the scars. So like once you have healed something, you can write from it, but while you're still hurting, you want to work through it yourself before you necessarily turn it into something.
Yeah.
Maybe that shouldn't be a rule, but I was impacted by it. I think it might have been in the context of like kids writing college essays about their struggles, and how when you are in the middle of a healing process, it can be difficult to see what the takeaways really are, which isn't to say that like the whole point of writing is to deliver a lesson or whatever, but just like the clarity of some time for a project, I think makes a lot of sense to me.
That does make a lot of sense. Well, there's a difference between like journaling and making something that you wish to share with an audience that's hopefully generous, potentially truthful, or a great story, you know? And then just like writing your pain in a journal is a different thing. Although one of them is a lot easier, but maybe that's why. Like I think sitting there and meh was so much easier than coming back to it in a
crafting it into something.
But
that makes sense to other people, that another person could actually maybe get something out of, and it's not just like
me. Yes. But I guess art isn't supposed to be like an easy therapy. Like art therapy is of course a valid thing, but that's not so much what we do as professional theater makers in the end. Wow, I love that. That was helpful tweet.
I know, there's actually good stuff on there.
Right from the scars. Right from the scars, not the wound. Sarah. Oh, I like that.
That's what your description of this project made me think of. So I'm intrigued. So maybe let's shift to talk a little bit more about survival jobs, which are very important. Totally. And I think that sort of exactly as you said, the idea, like the goal of not having a survival job, just that's not really a useful goal in the year of our Lord 2024.
Yes, where groceries are indeed $1,000.
Right. Like the odds that acting is actually going to support you, or even theater making in general is actually going to support you, are pretty darn slim.
Yeah.
Like even Pulitzer-winning playwrights are teaching college courses because writing plays doesn't pay. The actors are doing coaching or teaching classes, or on like the Hollywood scale, doing product placement, advertisements, sponsorships. Like Ryan Reynolds, this is my go-to. It's like Ryan Reynolds does not love cell phones. He loves money.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
let's all
Katy
get
Perry
comfy with
has
it.
her non-alcoholic line of wines. Like, there is no level of actor or creative
Nobody
person that
is-
is free from this. Okay.
Exactly. Maybe the oldest of the old, or the nepotismist of the nepotism.
Totally.
But like the rest of us we are out here.
Right
So
here. Yeah.
all this is to say, what is / are your survival hustles? Maybe a useful other thought is like, do you recommend for young people, to throw in a teensy bit more background? I have a mentee like, oh, well, actors are like mostly waiters, right? And I'm like, pros and cons to that. So I've never been a waiter.
I have never been a
so
waiter.
I can't speak to it, but yeah, so let's talk about like
Totally.
alternatives to
Yeah.
being a waiter.
And
There's so many more things.
I've really run the gamut of survival jobs. That being said, I've not been a waiter. When I was a senior at NYU, about to graduate, I was a hostess at a restaurant. So that was my, food service experience, and then kind of immediately went on tour. So that did not last. And I found for myself, like, I cannot be around food and alcohol in that way. Like, I'm so I worked at this pizza place with beer and pizza, and every day I was like, ooh, beer and pizza. Look at all this beer and pizza. So when I got back from tour, I went to Equinox. Many actors work that early morning shift, check into the gym job. And that was kind of great because I was surrounded by other people doing the same thing as me. And even the members, they're all like, on Broadway, and you get to use the gym. And so instead of being like, ooh, beer and pizza, I was like, ooh, daily workout. And I've taught acting and I've done the whole thing. Right now, my main gig is I did some child adolescent mental health studies while I was at NYU to fulfill my science requirements.
Amazing.
And then got an additional certificate in neurodivergent childcare,
Oh,
and so that led me to this tutoring gig that I have currently, where I help with homework essentially for a 6th grader who really, really, really struggles with severe ADHD. And it's great as a writer because, math homework in 6th grade might be above me at this point. Honest to God, it's been a while. But writing an essay about the Hunger Games, let's go. And it's a great actor gig too, because, the student sometimes just needs to spin around in circles and dance and put on accents, and I'm game for that. Like, not every sitting and writing needs to be like this. Like, we can find another way to do it. So that has been really rewarding side gig. And then also I run the gamut of babysitting. Currently, I take care of a baby who, they were colleagues first. So it's an actor and her husband's a playwright. So they get it. If something comes up for me, they are excited about the callback. They're cool with, I'm leaving for a month to do this contract, and they are cool with it. So a lot of childcare.
Yeah. A lot of the people I know are some flavor of babysitter, educator, like that. To me, if you can find a version of it that is really actor friendly,
Right.
it's really rewarding.
Really rewarding. And, because teaching would be potentially the dream if I were to fully lean into this. But
Right.
you can't, the way that you can kind of just find another babysitter or find another tutor, it's hard to leave a classroom.
I feel that pull a lot, where I'm like, should I just like be a teacher for realsies? But
You'd be wonderful, but you're doing other things right now.
I have actor brainworms, so I can't stop. Maybe at some point I will be satisfied and then I can think about doing other things.
Yeah.
But for now I embrace the brainworms.
Yeah.
You've done such a great job of explaining why these kinds of jobs are good for us. There's a surprising amount of flexibility in the education and childcare world outside of a traditional classroom setting.
Right.
So, yeah. We love.
The flexibility.
We do. We desperately need. You've kind of talked about being organized and being structured, but is there anything you do to like unwind or like relieve stress?
Sure. And it's so
your
funny
life?
because organized and structured, I wish I could just like turn the camera right now and show like how I threw just like half the room this way.
You don't want to guess why this is here.
Right.
Because
Give your backdrop.
it's scary. Because it's very scary.
But we are working on it. We are trying. And that time has been blocked in. Like, I have the clean the room time.
Amazing. I need to be that person. I'm not that person. I aspire.
For fun, I love to go find a new place to get a cocktail or a glass of wine in New York City. I love a good rooftop. I love to run and work out.
Oh, that's so good.
And just hang with friends and my girlfriend and, do a little, karaoke's my guilty pleasure.
This is so off topic, but when I was a kid, I got a karaoke machine for Christmas. Ooh. And I was like, this is the best in the world.
Oh, you're so lucky.
The gag is that I am an only child. So I was literally like, this is the best. This is the best. I am alone. This rules.
Such good practice for self-tape culture. You know how to just perform for yourself, and you don't need that applause. You don't need that feedback.
No one is watching.
No one's watching.
Cares.
Right. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I'll have to share my new favorite karaoke bar with you. It's very cheap. Sometimes no one is there, which I actually prefer, because then I'm like, I can sing Broadway songs and no one will be annoyed.
Please let me know.
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Just a glimpse into why I am the way that I am. So now I'm kind of curious about, and these might be different questions or they might be the same. What inspires you?
Ooh.
And or like, have you seen anything recently that's really moved you artistically?
Sure. Okay. What inspires me? First of all, people. Really unpopular, weird thing I do. I almost never, I love audiobooks and I love music. Like, I'm not a hater of music. But on the subway, on my little commutes, I mostly I'm headphones out and I'm just, because I'm a writer and I'm an actor, like, so much of what I write is like, just stolen.
Amazing.
Just, real people are so fascinating to me. Everybody in New York City is wild. So that's what really inspires me. And through this year of working on that other piece and just having people so generously share, I do a lot of interviews for that. And then pieces of art that really inspire me. I love The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe by Jane Wagner. Indecent by Paula Vogel, we mentioned before. Any Poem by Andrea Gibson. And then I saw a really great new musical at the Fringe Festival in Scotland called Section 28. I believe that's what it was called. Fantastic.
What's this
it was
about
this, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but a law in the United Kingdom, in England, about basically their version of Don't Say Gay quite a while ago. And then this was a musical about being a student raised under that law. It was just fantastic. And it was a bunch of different actors that would switch and play many different roles, which I love to write that way. And I love to see shows that way. And it was really fantastic. And there's this great song that was like, hordes of screaming lesbians. And all of us that got to go see this crazy show continue to quote that to this day. It was fantastic.
That sounds awesome. There are so many interesting shows happening across the pond.
Yes,
so
they're doing something right over there.
I need to plug in a little bit more and try and intentionally follow those threads more.
Yeah.
I'd like to complain about how little room it feels like there is for developing, especially new voices.
Right.
And getting new voices to the stages where they can maybe actually make some money.
Sure thing.
But I also think I need to pay more attention and try to follow and be really supportive as much as I can.
It's happening. It might not be as flashy as the Broadway shows, but New York Fringe is back. Off-Broadway exists. Off-Broadway exists. Our living room readings exist. We're out here.
We are.
Yeah. And you are. You are.
All of us, yes. I have a couple more questions. So let's start with, do you have any specific advice you would give to somebody who's, I'll say, an actor who thinks that they can't add some of these other disciplines? What might you say to encourage or advise them?
Don't do what I did, which is just accept that you're an old fogey who's bad with technology. Like so early on in my education and my theater education, I was like, well, I can't do that and I'm not good at that, so somebody else does that. And now there are a whole host of things that I continue to count myself out for. And, you know, the world just keeps going like this.
Yeah.
Don't be an old fogey who is against technology. I love my paper calendar, but it's really just because I'm afraid of the internet and I can't hack Google, you know? So be like you, not like me, and learn how to run these systems and do these things. That's my advice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There are definitely ways that technology can make our artists' lives better and not actively worse.
Right. Right.
But there are also ways that, you know,
It can be a challenge.
I'm enjoying being upset at AI for so many reasons. But then I do use it occasionally, less often now, but for work, like day job work. And it's pretty okay for that sort of thing, for like very menial busy work type tasks. But not,
AI, don't come for us. We love you, AI.
we love you. We like you so much, girl.
Whatever happens, we are your friend.
I do. I often do when I'm doing like ChatGPT, I'll be like, please do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
When the robot overlords come.
I just want you to remember me. Remember us.
We were nice.
We
said
were
thank
nice.
you.
We had said thank you.
But also, please let us keep being actors.
Totally.
I did see some TikTok where it was like, in the AI future, the only job that anyone respected was being a live theater performer. And I was like, yes, our time will come.
Our time is coming.
Because every other job can be replaced, but not that live stuff.
You know, theater's been around for a really long time and survived a lot of empire up and downs.
Right. It's still here.
We're still
Oh,
here.
God, I love it so much. I do.
You have to.
Yes. Okay. So then I would love to hear, as we're kind of rounding the corner, what are some of your ultimate creative goals? And then we can talk about like what you're looking forward to in the shorter term and things to promote and stuff.
Oh, okay. Man, I don't know why I struggle so much with this question because I'm like, oh, my goal is to just be happy and keep doing it and keep living day to day like this. But did I mention Broadway earlier and kind of like I was trashing Broadway? But Broadway, come on, you want to put up my show? You want to go to Circle in the Square even for like one day, you know? Totally. That's still a goal. Yeah, call me Mrs. Broadway. Which I recently just got over myself and was like, oh, come on. You moved to New York City. You saw Cats as a 4-year-old. We all saw our own version of Cats as a 4-year-old, and now we're here still playing pretend. Like, you can love Broadway.
Yes. And I also just think, like, for the really realist talk, that's one of the only gigs that actually pays you a living wage.
Yeah.
So let's not mince words about it.
Let's not mince words about it. Mrs. Wicked, please call.
Please.
Call her.
Call her. Because, like, right, something that you don't realize about specifically New York, which I, again, might, like, dig a little deeper into, but it's very much a feast or famine sort of lifestyle as a performer. Like, when I explain to people who don't work in the field, it's like, okay, Broadway pays you this much, and the next level, or the one tier below of professional work, pays you oftentimes, like, less than half of that.
I was going to say, like, definitely less than half.
Yeah, the top tier off-Broadway contract, although I also think, like, is off-Broadway really a tier? Like, you know, the tier system is imaginary.
The public theater, call her.
But the pay tier system
yes.
is real. And so, like, Broadway pays you the most. So I think it is very fair for us to aspire to that.
Totally.
And like, off-Broadway pays less, off pays less / maybe sometimes nothing. And so, yeah, like, if you're living in New York and pursuing the arts, again, you need that money coming from somewhere else. I will never stop saying this.
Right.
Never, ever. My thing that I am rooting for you is much more writing and much more performing, because I hope that whoever sees this gets an opportunity to experience Sarah's writing, because it's so amazing. And she's also so funny as a performer and just like truly a delight to perform with and be around and to read her words. So
jeepers.
So
Thank you.
So fab. So fab. Okay, so speaking of, as we're landing this little plane, what are you interested in promoting, if anything, in the coming days?
I will promote my writing, so the Leading Lady Club, a feminist but still likable sketch show, is going up at New York Fringe.
So funny. It's so funny.
Thank you. Going up to New York Fringe in the month of April. And then further down the line, the things I did while waiting for you to fall back in love with me, which is just me, and I wrote it based on a lot of people's stories of grief and growing up, will be at 59 East 59th, east of Edinburgh Festival in late July. And then we'll be, if you happen to be in Scotland, we'll be at Edinburgh Fringe the first week of the Fringe Festival in August.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait for all of these wonderful new activities, and I hope I can get to see both of them. And I appreciate you so much for sharing your time with me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.